So after some holidays, we are back on track with our Hangouts. And this time we will be talking about something that is a subject that is raising at least some concerns. So we can see it in a very pessimistic way. So humanity will be all wiped out. We will be enslaved like a kind of Terminator movie. Or we can think in, okay, how artificial intelligence will change our lives, and maybe it's already changing. I don't know. Let's start um, by welcoming Sophie and Peter that are back again after this holiday period, and we have this interesting discussion.
Yeah.
How will artificial intelligence will change our lives, or is already changing? Sophie, your turn from Sweden.
Thank you so much, Peter. Sorry, Philip.
Who's the other guy?
He's the one. Yeah. No, but I wanted to start with an anecdote. Like in the last 2 years here in Sweden, I've been to Almedalen, which is a huge mega conference with thousands. And you get a quite good taste of what's going on in society while being there. And last year, the main and hottest topics were about digitalization. This year, it was about artificial intelligence. I wanted to go to one of the big seminars there, and I was just a few minutes because all full for like half an hour before. And this is like you cannot really book any of the seminars. You just go there and you queue up. And it was full, and it was impossible to go inside. And I think like in the last year, artificial intelligence is something we talk about all the time. And it's a topic that, of course, is going to affect in so many ways. And I want to make one point first, and about how it's how we should work to really get into it, and that's by improving our collaboration skills, because this is a cross-functional topic. You know, there are lots of areas where we need to dive into artificial intelligence. And I think since I started speaking about digital leadership, collaboration, and the methods and processes that we use to evolve and develop our tools, it's crucial. And here it's even more crucial because it's going to be so complex. So we need to really improve our knowledge transfer, the way we work, the way we look at each other, and also think more inclusively, because there's a risk that rich people will get even richer and poor people will get poorer. So that's my main points in my first little session here. So be more inclusive, really think about how you can collaborate better with different departments, different people, and so on. I'm not sure if Filipe disappeared.
It's just you and me.
Yeah.
Oh dear, we're without our chairman, our leader. What are we going to do? Yeah. I assume he'll find his way back, and perhaps because.
Yeah, he's back now.
I'm sorry, it's something happened here.
Yeah. Okay. Philip, did the recording continue regardless?
The recording continued.
Yeah,
because I was in another screen. So sorry.
Yeah, so we would just continue on anyway without you.
No. So I didn't know. I don't know if Sophie finished or not because.
Yeah, I finished.
Okay. So Peter.
Right. So I'm going to come at this from the angle of my profession, which is psychology. I have a view that, well, in fact, there's a great quote by someone called Tom Atlee that said, things are getting better and better and worse, faster and faster. Better and better, worse and worse, faster and faster. And I think something that we need to step back you know, in any of these conversations about the wonders of technology, we need to step back for a moment and look at this one simple fact. Technology itself can solve problems, but can also create problems. And the way I look at technology is that it is actually an amplifier. It amplifies the human condition, which means that it brings out the best of humanity can be amplified by technology, and so can the worst. And if we don't acknowledge that fact, I think we're getting ourselves into trouble. Elon Musk actually said, and I mean, he's a person that's working at leading edge technology, and he said that he thinks artificial intelligence is potentially more dangerous than nuclear weapons, which is a pretty big statement. And he thinks that we need to go into it a little more cautiously and have some regulation around how we do it. Now, Mark Zuckerberg has said that he thinks that's, he said Musk's doomsday predictions are pretty irresponsible. And that's pretty funny coming from Mark Zuckerberg, whose own organization got caught up in a scandal where people's data was being misused. And I think Zuckerberg's being irresponsible by suggesting that we should think carefully about stuff. Look, as a human being, I'm incredibly optimistic about life and about possibilities. I love the possibilities and I'm excited about the possibilities, but I'm also very realistic because I know the dark side of humanity, both from personal experience and what I observe. And I think if we don't pay attention to that, it's going to take over in some way that we don't even understand. So I'll probably come back to that in my next piece, but yeah, I just wanted to lay down that marker. I think we just need to think carefully as a species about what we're doing.
One of the things that we think about artificial intelligence is that is something of the future. And if you drive a car nowadays, the new cars, let's say 1 year, 2 years, 3 years old, are already having a lot of systems that are artificial intelligence.
Absolutely, and it's brilliant.
And you start to enjoying it.
Yep.
But at the same time, I was driving a very, very new car in a place where things are very, very serious in terms of limits and everything, that is Switzerland. And there was the joy of driving was not so big because the car drove itself, and it was not an autonomous car, but there were so much elements of it that the joy of it disappeared. But at the same time, if we start considering, let's say 90% of the time that we drive a car is not for the joy of it. It is because we have to go from point A to point B. So in this case, I was trying to have more joy, but there was a lot of limitations, and the car itself was aware of those limitations. So it was interesting experience, but also to understand that artificial intelligence is we are using it already daily, and it's not a question of the future. It is already in the present and some past already. So Sophie, back the floor to you.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm also going to talk quickly about one experience which is taking place right now where I live, and it's that they are changing the way that social workers are collecting information about people who are looking for benefits, or they are applying for benefits. And in the past, it's been filling out lots of forms online, which is done by the applicant. And now they have built a robot which is collecting information about a person. So you go online and you verify yourself with electronic ID, and from going before they made a decision whether you're going to get benefits or not. In the past, it took like up to 2 months. And today, this process can be done in a few days. And this is thanks to collecting data and analyzing it online. And then instead of making sure that all applications are 100%, they check 25 manually. So they save a lot of time. So of course it's a sample, so you can cheat, but there is a sample control every now and then in what's going on with your data. And it's caused a lot of distress. People didn't want to go to the meetings about this. Lots of people left their jobs. And now many of those social workers see some of the benefits with this system. It means that they can actually work harder with the people who really need help. And lots of this administrative work is gone. So it's scary. People got angry. It was probably introduction to this new system, but this is the way that it's going to work in the future in Sweden. So there's no way that people are going to sit manually and look through all these papers and control every single number. Yeah, I'm sure this is happening in other countries as well. But in Sweden, lots of your personal already digital, and you can connect it through your personal digital ID, which you have in your mobile phone.
Mm-hmm. Peter, tell me more.
Well, building on what Sophie's just talked about identity, it's really interesting because the implications of artificial intelligence are that our behaviors, our personality are already being tracked, and that is only going to accelerate. And the thing is, it's fine in theory, it's a good idea in theory, but in practice things can go horribly wrong. I guess the problems as fast as we create them. So one of the things we need to accept, I think, and recognize is that we can no longer assume we're actually talking to a real person anymore. So apparently a lot of I think it's on Amazon, a lot of the customer complaints are actually being dealt with by artificial intelligence. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing if we can't tell the difference. But there are still great dangers in this interconnected world. And just yesterday, I heard a fascinating talk I was at the Professional Speakers Conference, and one of the speakers there told a story that was profiled in the media about how his identity was stolen. His photographs were taken off his profile, his video was taken and used. His details were put on his photo was used on a number of internet dating sites, and then used to build a relationship with women looking to form a relationship. And it was a false person, and he showed us the photographs and the stories that this individual was telling. And the reason he found out is because a woman realized that that it was fake, and got in and found him and told him what was going on. And it was just frightening, and how easily we're manipulated. And that this connects back to the psychology side of it, because apparently she and he have kind of become friends because they were working on trying to, get to this guy who was doing this stuff. But it had impacted her psychologically, because whenever she looked at Steve's face, she still felt this feeling for him, even though it turns out that he's a happily married gay man, which is a twist in the story. But the point is simply that we so easily believe the world on our screen as being real, and we can't be sure of that. And I think in the wrong hands, this technology can be used, in a very negative way. And as I said before, I totally get all the positive things. I'm very, excited about medical breakthroughs and all of that, and being interconnected and all of that. But we've still got an issue there. If you're in the wrong hands, it can be damaging.
Well, technology has always two sides. It's like,
yeah,
why we have a Nobel Prize. Okay. The same guy that created dynamite thought,
Dynamite, yeah, that's right.
this might be used in the wrong ways. Let's do it.
Yeah.
That I want to add to our conversation is that we live in a world where we are inundated, flooded with data. So it will be, in my view, impossible to survive without, let's say, we having some artificial intelligence helping us, because the data will be too much. So the decision making will be different because of we are generating such a volume of data, and because it doesn't occupy space, so we cannot say, oh, we only have available this space to put this data. Nope, it can go to infinite, and we will need tools, let's say, of artificial intelligence for sure. So I think it's also a question of survival.
Yeah.
So, Sophie, your last one. Sophie, you look like MIMO because your mouth is like this, but microphone is out.
Yeah, I turned it on now. I was thinking about what Peter was saying about faces, and already, like in our apps, we have hundreds of applications which help us to create a new face, and it's scary. Of course, it's fun, but it can be misused so much. And you have all those facial recognition software, which is used in China, for instance, is used in a weird, creepy way, where they check your face and your expression. You get, a student in China, you get points from looking, smiling and concentrating in class, which I find quite creepy. You know, you can be very interested in a topic and look a bit moody. No, but I wanted to give you two examples. I have an iPhone 7, and in February this year, it totally crashed, and I had to restart it and remove all data on it. Luckily, I have saved almost everything on it. It was just like the last few days of photos that was not there. But this happened, and I had to use my computer to chat with Apple to get this problem solved. And the same thing has happened to one of my, not the one I'm using now, and it crashed. There was no way to just do a restart or anything. You had to reboot it. And I was thinking about this, and if you're really using artificial intelligence for crucial things, it's quite important to get these things sorted. And also, there is a school, and they are only using the cloud for their information, and all their work is in the cloud. And then there was no internet for 4 days last week, and because someone digged in the soil and there was a cable, and then the internet was gone. The students there had some problems. I go there playing piano, so I was fine. You know, I could use my papers.
Yeah, it was not connected to internet.
No, but I could use my papers. It was fine. But it was just quite comic because the teachers, they were so vulnerable. So I would suggest that everybody who are interested in AI are looking into a network called the Future of Life Institute. And it's founded by Max Tegmark, and he's a Swedish guy living in the United States. And he has collected a lot of experts in AI to join his network there. And they want to safety-proof the future, so you don't have crashing computers and you don't have these kind of issues. And then problems, you don't have a connection to the internet at that movement. So yeah, we are vulnerable. It's not easy when things are not working, but if things are working, it's going to be fine. So we need to make sure that they are working. That's his message to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Peter, your last one.
Okay, so just picking up on Philip's really important point about we're just drowning in data, and data has to be turned into information and knowledge, and you know, as human beings, we've hit our limit in our capacity to actually deal with it. So AI obviously gives you the chance to do that. I think the thing that is really interesting is that what isn't clear is how AI is going to intersect with morality and ethics. And apparently there are a lot more conferences, AI conferences, where there are a larger number of people being invited who are specialists in morality and ethics, because there are so many big questions to be asked about what do we build into this intelligence around. I mean, a really simple example is you're in a car that's autonomous and it's driving along, and then there's suddenly a dangerous situation that was unpredicted, and there's a child there on the road, and there's a choice between crashing into a lamppost and killing the passenger, crashing into something else and killing the driver, or hitting the child. And as human beings, we make split-second decisions. Who knows how we make them about what is the best thing to do in that moment? But what are we going to be asking of AI around decision making about priorities and importance? And I'm not saying I have an answer, it's only a question, but a question that we need to be thinking about, which comes back to Elon Musk's thing around we need to just, you know, just be a little bit thoughtful as path.
Thank you, Peter. Building in what you were saying about the jobs and everything, I think, like all revolutions in terms of technology, we will see a destruction of jobs and creation of new jobs. But I have some hope that finally humans will need to work less. This is my hope, that because I remember when internet appeared, when cellulars appear, I thought, wow, this will make us so productive that we will not need to work 8 hours, 10 hours.
Define productive.
Yeah. The problem is that
tell me what productive means.
we are working more hours than ever.
Yeah, but what does productive mean? That's busy. Productive mean?
Yeah, I think the problem is that our usage of technology is very, very wrong. So I see in a lot of I go through a lot of organizations, and I see that people became experts in showing that they are working. Okay, and not to go a lot on this subject. For me, one of the best tools to show that you are working is emailing, okay, or now instant messaging. It's like you are so busy, but in reality you are doing basically nothing, because you are only creating content that you created in a very poor way. You create conflicts, you create errors, it's a complete mess. But it gives us this feeling that we are busy. And maybe taking all of those processes from humans, maybe we will be less busy, and we will use our minds to things that artificial intelligence will take a lot of time to pick it up, because we have the ability to learn from few experiences than the machines. A machine to the machine learning, what is associated with artificial intelligence, has to consider thousands, if not millions, of operations, sequences, information. We can learn from one or two experiences very fast because we observe a lot of stuff at the same time. So relation between people, it's the most complicated one. So I think that we might be, for a long time at least, exclusive in the relation between people, how to motivate them, how to make them part of a team, etc. It will not be through artificial intelligence. That doesn't mean that we will not do our decision making supported with artificial intelligence, because we have millions of sensors being put it everywhere. We have a lot of information being gathering, like Sophie was talking about social work. Social work, it is absolutely important to understand the needs of each person. And you can see in refugee camps in Jordan that they use blockchain technology in order to be sure that people will get the assistance that they need. If not, it would be completely chaos. If it wasn't for that type of technology, having a refugee camp with more than 1 million people there, it would be madness. So this kind of things are already working for us, and we have to be optimistic. But like Peter was saying, I think we should be also cautious, because like the example that Sophie was giving from China, that is they are creating a gamification society, but according to certain standards, that is the worst kind of dictatorship that you can all imagine. And so we have to be careful.
You haven't answered my question. My question is, how do you define productive? Maybe that's for another hangout.
Yes, that is a good topic for another hangout. Being productive, because it's something that we people, it's a word that people use a lot. I did also, but it is always of there is the union and the entrepreneurs kind of view. It's there is a lot of different views. So guys, anything to add, or we are reaching our time? So guys, it was a pleasure again talking with you. Now we end up the holiday season, so we will probably have another hangout that we will book in a moment. So thank you very much, Sophie and Peter, for joining me in this conversation where we explore not only the topic, but also we explore our own knowledge about the topics, because it is I think this is a time that is very important to have an opinion about topics, and not to let others to have our own opinions. So thank you very much, Sophie and Peter. See you next.
Thank you.
Bye.